Afternoon, everybody. It's D Chess again. I have my lovely wife, Lisa, who's going to be calling out some moves from a game that was played between Colt and I at the Cannon Chess Club this past Thursday night. It's a King's Indian attack where I had the white pieces. We only played this out to, we only recorded up to move 34 before we both got under 4 minutes and just stopped recording. It ends in more or less I believe it was a 1.7 advantage towards black, but the game actually ends in a draw after about 15 to 20 moves after the final position you see. But I'm going to stop it on that final position and see what kind of ideas you guys come up with, and just leave it in the comments, and make sure you like and subscribe and click the notify. And let's see, and by the way, this was the the second time that night that Colt had to face the King's Indian attack, which pleases me. But anyway, on with the show. And the first move is knight to f3.
Knight to f6.
We have knight to f6.
g3. g6.
And Colt chooses the symmetrical variation. I think the next move was bishop to g2.
Yep. Bishop to g7. d3.
And I'm keeping things classical with the main line.
Castle.
And then Colt castles. Keeping everything pretty standard here.
Castle.
So I'm going to do the same.
c6.
Okay, we got c6 on the board.
c4.
And see, when I move this c4 move, hold that position, sweetie. When I made the c4 move, I actually made a comment to Colt, and like, it looks like we're transposing into a type of English opening. And that's one of the things I love about knight to f3 is, first, it allows white to dictate what the opening is going to be. It's going to be something along the ready lines, a straight up ready, a King's Indian attack, transposing into an English opening. And those are just lines that are all in my wheelhouse, and I'm really comfortable with those types of positions. So he moves c4, and he moves c6. So I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, well, this is kind of an English if I move c4 on that move. And he responds with d5. He's trying to create complications between those two files, crack this open. And I just kind of continue on with my English opening kind of theme with knight to c3.
d4.
And he goes ahead and he decides he's going to kick the knight. And in this case, the computer said I should have moved here. And I honestly thought about that during the game. But, you know, the adage of knights on the rim or grim and yada, yada, yada. If it's part of your strategy, I don't mind doing it. But I looked at this in the game, and I just didn't see, I was going to be dancing my knight around and eventually end up on either b3 or e4 anyway. So I ended up moving knight to e4.
Knight takes e4.
And I saw this exchange coming, and I think it was e takes knight. And I didn't mind the double pawn structure. I like my king's safety. I'm liking this whole thing. So after e takes d4, we have this open center line down to the king. And I think his next move was c5.
Yes.
Okay.
Queen to d3. Knight to c6.
And he develops, putting pressure on the center, getting that knight into play.
Bishop to f4.
And this, on my part, was honestly a wasted move because it gives him a tempo whenever he moves.
e5.
But it really just gives him a tempo. I don't know. I can't. In game, I was thinking he might push a flank pawn or the f pawn. So I moved back to bishop to d2.
And then H6.
And then he comes on the king side. So I decided to come on the queen side.
To D3.
A3.
Oh, wait. Yeah, A3, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then A5.
And he sees the queen side push and counters it.
RA to B1.
So rook A to B1.
And then A4. B4.
Okay. And I'm either deciding, and I don't mind the pawn exchange, but I'm expecting the opposite. So he comes with the opposite capture.
Takes the D3.
And then
Takes the D3.
rook takes pawn.
And black goes to queen to
East.
C7.
Queen to C7. Or E7.
C7. C7.
Okay. All right.
And then
So rook H, or I'm sorry, rook F to
rook F to B1.
Okay.
And then rook to D8.
Rook to B8. Okay, so Colt in this he sees my flanking attack, my flanking attempt. I'm trying to create I'm trying to bottle up the queen side, you know. And my idea is try to create some kind of issues with that outside passed pawn. Doesn't quite work out the way I liked it, but it is a very aesthetically pleasing position. So after black moves rook to B8, the next move for white.
Rook went to D8, and that's the one I can't read.
No, that is rook to B5. So rook to B5.
And then knight to D8.
And knight to D8 was actually an inaccuracy. Yeah, it does defend the pawn, but the computer actually called for this pawn push right there, which solidifies that pawn chain. I get what it's talking about, and plus you're retreating that knight. So in this position, I was actually able to equalize to about, I think the engine said 0.5 or 0.6 to black's favor. But okay, so knight to D8.
Bishop to A5.
And this is where I decide I'm going to start putting on some kind of attack. I'm trying to create problems. I'm hitting this queen with bishop to A5.
And then queen to E7.
And queen to E7. He gets out of the way.
Bishop takes D8.
And then rook takes D8.
Rook takes D8.
Fair exchange.
Then A4.
And I'm going to try to march up the queen side.
And rook to A8.
Rook to A8.
Queen to A3.
Queen to A3. Trying to push that pawn.
Bishop to F8.
And that's a dangerous diagonal. Okay, bishop to F8.
A5.
We're going to push again.
Queen to C7.
Queen to C7.
And then rook to D6.
And try to bottle that queen up over there.
And then rook to A6.
Rook to A6. It's contesting the issue.
Then rook 1 to B5.
And I just really liked the way that looked. In the game, I liked it. But the computer calls it a blunder. And leave in the comments below if you can tell me why. What's black's next move?
Rook takes D6.
Rook takes B6. And then I go pawn takes
B6.
B6, attacking the queen.
And then queen takes D6. Or queen D6, I'm sorry.
Queen goes to d6.
And then queen goes to d3.
And I bottle up the position yet again. At this point in the game, I'm pretty much looking for a draw. Besides maybe some kind of counterplay on the king side. I haven't given up all hopes of a win yet, but I've got to watch out for this freaking half-open file right here. So I've got my queen acting like a big cork. All right, what's after queen to d3?
Bishop d7.
Bishop d7, hitting the rook.
Rook to b3.
Rook comes back to b3.
Rook to a8.
And he's going to try to flank around.
h3.
h3.
Rook to a6.
Rook to a6. Now that pawn is pretty much gone.
And then queen to b1.
See, when your queen and your rooks are tied down as defenders, it's just, yeah, it sucks.
Bishop to e7.
Okay.
h4.
Trying to create some counterplay on the king side.
Bishop to d8. e3.
Now there's too much pressure on that pawn, so I just kind of gave it up. And I'm going to try to remove these double pawns in the center. e3.
f6.
And he pushes the f pawn.
E takes d.
And I got rid of the double pawns.
C takes d. Bishop to f1.
Let me see that.
That's the last move on there.
Oh, that's where we quit writing down moves at. All right, guys, that's where we quit writing down moves. Believe it or not, this looks like a winning position for black. It probably is, but I was able to eke out a draw in this position. So let me know your ideas. I'd be happy to entertain anything you have analysis-wise. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to upload another video here in a little while. Have a good day.